All right, welcome to the show. This is the 2022 Dickson County Election Podcast, and my name is Justin Spurlock. I'm your host. You may have heard me on WDKN Radio, where I do a radio show on Saturday mornings at 7 o'clock and 8 o'clock, or you may have read my newspaper articles that I write for the Dickson Post every Wednesday about local history. And this particular podcast is something that we developed for the voters of Dickson County. We wanted to make sure that we gave the voters of Dickson County an opportunity to hear from the different candidates that are running during this election cycle. And we're actually getting pretty close down here to the end. Election day is coming up next week, actually. And so if you have not voted, I would encourage you to make sure that on Thursday that you go out and you vote for the best candidates possible. And that's really why we do this podcast, is to be able to give you a chance to hear from the candidates so that you can make a well-informed decision. And I'm very lucky today to be joined by somebody who's been involved in as a community service servant here in Dickson County for quite some time now, and is running once again, I think maybe for the last time, but Mr. Bob Rial, who is our current county mayor, who is running for this, I guess it's going to be your last term, or last time that you're running anyway. And so I appreciate you coming to do the show with me, Mr. Bob Rial. How you doing today?
Justin, thank you very much. I appreciate you having me here today. You're right. I am running for my fourth term, and it's going to be the last time I run for any office. On that, I've had a great run, able to work with the community, do a lot of good things, but we're going to tie some things together here in this final fourth term and get ready to turn it over to somebody else after that.
Well, I appreciate you doing the show. It's really an honor to have you here, and I will say this, that you've been great. Anytime I've ever had a question or needed anything, you've always been very responsive to me. And so when I asked you to do this podcast, you didn't hesitate. It took us a little while to get a good time and a good date, because I had to go out of town a little bit this summer. As a teacher in the summer, we have to go off on vacation a little bit to get kind of prepared and rested for the next school year. So I apologize for getting you in kind of here at the end, but it may be the best time as ever, because we're just a few days now from the election.
Yeah, not very far. It's this coming Thursday, and been working hard all summer getting prepared for this. But when you campaign, you have to stay interested and involved in the community all the time. So you're not technically campaigning, but you're basically doing this every weekend, every year around for 4 years. And then as soon as this one stops, we'll continue to do it. Even though I'm not running again, I enjoy being out in the community, going to events and seeing people. So I absolutely love doing this. The campaign just intensifies it a little bit.
Well, I think this is close to 20 episodes that I've had the opportunity to do. So I just I thank you, and I thank all the other candidates for being willing to do this, because, having somebody ask you questions sometimes is maybe not the easiest thing, but the people running here in Dickson County, I've been really impressed with their willingness to come on here and talk to me and answer questions and really put themselves out there for the people of the county. And I think it results in a informed voter base, and I think we're going to have a great election next week because of it. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Oh, we always are. And I've always sat on the sideline for many years, helping people run for office. Even though I appear to be an old timer at times, I was first elected. It's been 19 years ago. So it's when you're 63 years old, 19 years ago is not that long ago. I was 44 when I was elected to city council on the city of Dickson, but always been around, been involved in it, and I think it's important that people do. And I appreciate you doing shows like this. It's a great thing about how our technologies move forward, that we have the availability to reach out to the public in so many different ways. So it's a good time to be involved in these things.
Well, again, thank you for coming on. Usually we start at the beginning. At the beginning of the show by just going back and telling a little bit about your life. Like I mentioned to you before we started recording, I was trained by the great Warren Medley.
Absolutely.
And so he would always, want to know about your life, and he would always say something along the lines of, "Who was your mama before she met your daddy?" or something like that. Because he just and what he was saying by doing it, he just wants to know, where you come from and who you come from. So if you can maybe start at the beginning, because you've been around here for a while, a lot of folks know who you are, but we do have a lot of folks moving into the area that listen to this podcast, and they may not know you and know your history here. But talk to me just a little bit a little bit about the early days of your life and growing up here in Dickson.
Yeah, I'm not a native of Dickson County. I was one of those transplant people before being a transplant was cool. We moved here in 1973. I'm a native of Mississippi. My dad, Robert Rial Sr., worked for Red Cap, which was Bluebell Incorporated. He worked for them in Mississippi, Oklahoma, and North Carolina for 5 years before we moved to Tennessee in 1973 when I moved here on the first day of the ninth grade at Old Dickson Junior High across the street. So my family's been here the whole time. I graduated from Dickson County Senior High in 1977. I went to UT Martin to school to get a degree in public administration, government management, way back in 1982. My mother, a lot of people know her. She's been gone for 2 years now, but she was the welcome wagon woman for 40 years. So if you moved to Dickson County, she probably came to visit you and bring you some gifts on that. So it was Helen Rial. We miss her very much. And a lot of people, if you went through school for 30 plus years here, I think about 35 years, you may have had my sister Phyllis teaching you reading and literature in the 6th grade or 7th grade, somewhere. I think it was mainly the 6th grade that she taught on that, but she retired a few years ago. I'm married to Joan Rial. She's one of those we brought in from Henry County, and we don't hold that against her, but she and I met at UT Martin as friends, and then ran into each other later and decided to get married. So most people know her here as the director of the City of Dickson Senior Center, a job she absolutely loves, and she taught preschool or managed preschool for many years, so she's done both ends of the spectrum. She has you when you're very young, and now she has the seniors in the community. So by doing that, I have 2 children. Daniel, he was a graduate here at Dickson County High School in 2009. He is married now to his wife Amanda, and they have a son named Julian. My daughter Rebecca, she was a graduate of Dickson County High School in 2012, and she works for Amazon in Nashville. And the job's so complicated. When she explains it to me, I don't understand it, but she absolutely loves it.
It's very interesting. I've seen some pictures of you with your grandkids, and that's got to be a lot of fun. I know when my parents became grandparents, they kind of changed, and it changes you, doesn't it?
It does, and I used to mock grandparents, like, what is wrong with y'all? Why are you acting this way? And now I'm going back and apologize. There is nobody worse than a grandparent than me. He calls me Bobby, which I love because I was Bobby when I was a little boy. So I told everybody I came in the world as a Bobby, and I'm going to go out. So I absolutely love it. And he's 2.5 years old, and he keeps me in stitches. And Daniel's like, why weren't you that way with us? We asked that, and I said, well, I was a lot younger. We didn't have much money in the bank. It was stress of keeping your job, but age gives you a little wisdom sometime. And so now as a grandparent, let's stop and enjoy the moment. And I'm absolutely enjoying the moment.
So you got involved in being a community servant and serving the community about 19 years ago. And then, between the time you graduated college and to then, you obviously had done some different things. Maybe talk just a little bit about that and what your career was before you became the mayor.
Yeah. Like I said, my goal when I was in college was to become in government management. And when I graduated in 1982, I had 2 internships set up in Shelby County, one with Collierville City Government, one with Memphis City Government, and it worked out where I could have both those jobs simultaneously. But I moved to Memphis, got an apartment, and the day before I started, the funding for those internships disappeared. So I had to find a job. And so when I was in Memphis, I found a job at a finance company collecting loans. With the stories were endless from my 2 years of doing that. But from that, I got into lending, was hired by banks, moved back to Middle Tennessee, and then had the opportunity in 1995 to move back to Dickson, which we were very excited to do. By that time, we had children. I wanted to grow up in a setting that I thought was so great here in Dickson County, and so Joan and I, we thought that it'd be best to move back to Dickson, and been here ever since.
And we do have something in common that we won't have to talk about it very long, but I want to mention it because I just have a lot of respect for people who go out and give their time to kids. And I know that you've coached a little bit, and I've coached a little bit, and that's been kind of fun. So there may be some kids out there, or not kids anymore, but they were kids back maybe when you were helping with that. But maybe talk just a little bit about getting involved with the community and being a coach, because that's something special to me. And like I said, I just admire people who do that.
Well, I appreciate you saying it, because I know you're committed and passionate about doing it like I was. Initially I did it before my children got involved, but there always seemed to be a vacuum on certain sports and certain things, and one of them was basketball, which I played. And I just started out trying to help at some of the schools or some of the local teams, and did some mini camps on fundamentals and things of that type, and it just grew into something else. So now I look around, they're young men and young ladies in their mid to late 30s that I coached, which is hard to believe. That just seems a few years ago that they were 10, 11, 12 years old, or high school students. So time has really marched by, but I think it's special to do that, because I was so influenced, and you and I were talking off the air about some of the coaches here in Dickson County, and that I respected and helped guide me. And some of them weren't even coaches of my teams, but they took an interest in me in high school to help guide me. And I just think it's special when adults can take an opportunity to do that with children. And I was honored to do it, and I know you are too.
Absolutely. It's one of the greatest things I think I've ever done is be a coach to young men, and just kind of give them the life lessons and some direction, like those great coaches gave me, and we were talking before the air about some of the great coaches we had. And, we're very lucky here in Dickson County to have, the different the great educators and coaches that have been here. And I was just telling somebody on WDKN not long ago about how, I don't know if I'd have become a teacher if I hadn't grown up here, because I had such good examples of who to be like. And so it made me really appreciate that profession, and then I decided to get into it. And so just very lucky to have grown up here in Dickson County, I have to say.
Yeah, a great place. And that's the funny thing we say. My family chose it back in 1973, and then when I had opportunity again to raise my family and put down those permanent roots, so I told everybody I've chosen Dickson County twice.
So let's talk about your motivation for getting involved in, I hate the word politics, but I prefer community service, because I really think that's what you guys do when you get voted in. I mean, it's political, I guess, getting voted in, but once you get in, you got a job to do. And so just want to kind of go back to, what was your motivation to initially get involved in, running for office? And I know it's something that you were interested in college, but you kind of got away from it and then kind of got back to it. Was it a specific moment? Was there a key event that just made you want to do that, or was it just something that you had always wanted to do?
It was something when everybody's young, you want to be president or senator or governor, and we all think about something like that if you had any interest, but it was no serious interest in it. Once I got into business, I enjoyed what I did for so many years. I enjoyed lending money, because I always tell everybody it's a triple win if you did it correctly. It was good for your employer, it was good for you to keep your job, but most importantly, it was good for the people you were trying to help by helping them achieve their needs by either buying a house or buying a car, or trying to get them where they need to be to help improve their lives. So, lending, if you take that level of customer service that so many people work in different industries, I just want to take that attitude and that belief into government, because you can't run government like a business. It's just, there's so many different rules and regulations, and your goal is not profitability. Your goal is customer service. And but even though you can't run it like a business, you can be business-like how you do it. And so that was an approach I wanted to take to the Dickson City Council when I was elected there in 2003 and reelected in 2007, and really enjoyed that. Learned a lot. Had great mentors over there. Mayor Weiss, who had been there for some time, and he and I were friends before, from the old neighborhood and where we lived, and ironically still live. We all moved back there. And the late Tom Wakehoff, he was very much a mentor to me. When I wrote a paper in college for a public administration degree, it was over the issue they had at the time about distance for beer limits in the city of Dickson. And Tom was the mayor of city of Dickson at that time, and I actually was a city councilman and became mayor soon after. And he was my source on that, and we became close friends when I was about 19 or 20 years old, and always relied on him. So it was quite an honor to work with him on the Dickson City Council, just to help provide maximum customer service for the community while trying to be as economical about as you possibly can.
Now, why county mayor? That's my next question, because if you're sitting around and you're thinking, man, I'd really like to give back to my community, I'd really like to serve in some capacity. If you're sitting around thinking that, there's a lot of different opportunities for you. You can go and you can be on the commission, county commission, maybe state rep. Those are more like, the legislative branch, I guess you would say. And then there's other things like running for mayor, county mayor, that are more the executive branch, and those things are different. And that's one thing that I've really enjoyed explaining to people as a government teacher over at the high school. I'm certified to teach government, and so I kind of know about those things, and so I can kind of explain the difference to people. But when you were deciding to get involved in public service, you started off on the city council, but then decided county mayor. I'm just curious as to why county mayor and maybe not some other position.
Yeah, and it was kind of odd. I enjoy being on the periphery of it in a part-time position like a city councilman, but during the late 2000s, I felt, and along with many others, that the county government was just not going a very good direction. There was a lot of financial issues. There was a lot of issues about being transparent to the public and explain to everyone what was going on. And, and I always point back, there was an actual county commission meeting I went to one night. It was in August 2009. And I described it, and I wasn't really far from being what the Jerry Springer show was. There were people hollering and yelling and at each other. Somebody been chased down the hallway with one of the county commissioners, and this is not exaggeration. And I was just embarrassed and humiliated as a citizen of Dickson County that we were like that. So a lot of my friends and I got together, started having that discussion, and I kind of got pushed into it because I was happy. After 27 years of lending money and doing that, I was happy and really enjoyed what I did. But I saw there was a real vacuum that needed to be filled, and a lot of friends got behind me got me into it, and so it was one of those that I never saw myself doing that. I thought I would get old and die as an old banker, but I'm glad I did, because this has been a very rewarding job. We went through a lot of the difficulties and got those solved financially. We've streamlined a lot of things we do in county government, where we can better serve the people, and that's what it's about. So yeah, it was odd to get into running for county mayor. It was something I never had on that list. I want to do this someday. Like I said, when I was a little boy, I wanted to be president, but the county mayor wasn't ever on that list.
What did you do differently? And I know we kind of have you talked a little bit about the way things were kind of being handled before you took office, but I think whenever somebody decides, hey, I'm going to run for this particular office, there is something that they want to change or that they want to do differently from the way it was done in the past. And I'm not really asking you necessarily to criticize your predecessor, but just what were some of the things that you decided that you thought we should do maybe different from the way that it had been done in the past? I know you kind of already hit on that, but what were the changes that you wanted to make?
Well, the biggest change was, and even as important as finance was, but the biggest change was changing the tone and tenor of government. How do we talk to each other? What level of respect do we use? I'm always open and learn from people that I don't necessarily agree with. I welcome those people. I've appointed those people to a lot of different committees and things because I want their input. We all don't need to think alike. We need to have that broad tent where we fit everyone under. And that's what we really did a lot of on that. There was a few, we had to go through a learning curve on it. And one of them was going back to that initial meeting that I talked about. I went to. We run our meetings very efficiently now. We encourage debate and discussion, but when we do that, we do it with respect and a certain level of decorum. We used to have people sitting in the audience who yell out in the middle of the meeting, and again, we want to hear from the citizens, and we're welcome to, but we're going to have a level of decorum and respect in there, just as you would in a courtroom, because we want everyone to be heard and have a chance to have a say on this. We encourage our county commissioners to show up early to talk to people that have concerns, and they always all stay late to have that. But we just had to get a level of respect and appreciate everybody. We had so many differing views: North County, South County, cities versus unincorporated county, Republican, Democrat, suburb versus rural. You can just keep picking these divides, but we really worked hard to get everybody to have a civil discussion on each of these issues.
Now, maybe let's talk just a little bit about your qualifications, because that's usually something that people want to ask whenever somebody's running for office. First off, why are they wanting to run, and what would make them qualified? And so I want to know, maybe what jobs or degrees, things like that, would have prepared you for this position, but also like you to hit on just a little bit about your personality and sort of your characteristics of you personally, and why that makes you good for the job. So not only what makes you qualified as far as your education and things like that, but your personality as well.
Well, from an educational standpoint, as I said earlier, I wanted to be in government management, and back in the early 80s, a public administration degree was kind of a new thing. It was a blend of business and political science, where you'd have the practical standpoints of how to operate business, but the nuances of government. And so it was really a nice blend. For those through college, where you had to have a major, you could take no minor at this, because basically you were taking two sets of majors together, and it took up all of your time on that. And that was really a good building block. I had great professors that were really excellent at teaching this and having you understand it. And again, I love those professors that had probably a little different political leaning, because they gave me a different perspective, because we all like to think we're right, but sometimes it's good to stand up and go stand on the other side of the room and look back at yourself. And they gave me a real good basis for that. But the most important thing is my time lending money, because being able to work with people and understand what their needs and goals are, to try to help them achieve those, that really works over. It's the same thing as government. I mean, I always, you talk about constituents or voters. I mean, I've always find myself, if the conversation goes on, I talk about our customers. I have 55,000 customers, and we try to serve them the best we can every day. So my background in banking, I think, really helped that. You want to, sometimes you can't do everything people want, but your goal is try to achieve that, or maybe find a different way or more economical way to do that. And I think I've really been able to take that into county government. But the thing, it really goes back to the people and listen to their wants and needs. We wish we could do everything everybody wanted. We have to follow law, and the state constitutional law set up a lot of what we can and can't do in county government. But there's so many things we can do on a daily basis to help take care of individuals' problems. I love getting those calls, and I love getting those issues taken care of. And my time doing that customer service in banking really helped me.
I think things have really changed around here in Dickson County over the last 10 or 12 years. I think everybody would agree on that we've seen a lot of changes, and I've gotten the opportunity. I've been lucky. I signed up for a class that you were teaching called Government 101, I think was the name of it. And it was really great. I appreciated you doing that, because it really showed me, even as somebody who's been educated on like how government works and how to teach it at a high school level, it's still, when you're talking about county government, it's still something that is complicated, and it helped to have somebody kind of explain that to me. And I took the information that I got in that class with you and went on and tried to do a little bit of research about the county and kind of figure out where we were and where we are and how we got here. here and things like that. And it looks to me, and I'm just a layman, I don't know a whole lot about, finances and stuff. I'm a history teacher and a history guy. That's my thing. I like to write history stories, but it looks to me like things have been getting better around here, financially speaking, and we've been growing, and so I don't know if that's things that we've done down at your office, or if that's just because of our growth. But would you maybe just talk a little bit about the growth and kind of where we are now versus where we were maybe 10 or 12 years ago? Because it does look to me like things have changed a lot.
They have, and some of the growth goes back to our geography, being a part of Metro Nashville and the metropolitan area on that. But the thing that you really find in this community are the people that make the difference. One of the measures of success when you look at different communities around the state is workforce participation. Our workforce participation numbers, and those are people able to work, want to work, can work, and there's a more technical definition of that, but we don't have 2 hours. But we have one of the highest scores on that. So what it tells you is when industry wants to move here, they realize that they have a good workforce. We have one of the lowest unemployment rates in the state. We're usually about between number 7 and number 10 and the lowest ones. But companies still want to come here because they know when they get an employee in Dickson County, they're getting a quality employee. So that is why we've had continued growth. And we've had some growth that we did not seek that's come into the community, but a lot of growth we have sought, and we try to incentivize that. But we've really gone away from when I was elected. We were coming out of the Great Recession of 8 and 9, so you looked at a lot of things differently then. But when we got back, the economy got back on its feet in about 2012 or 13, we really started looking at, it got away from the idea of just growth for the sake of growth. We started using the term in my office about community improvement, and that growth can be a tool to make our community improve. So when we do incentivize companies, we want them to have a higher pay range, bring in a better, cleaner job. Those are the companies we give an incentive to with pilot programs to help on their taxes early on, to help them get established. There's companies that come here that we don't give that to because that's not what we're seeking. They may be legal and able to come here, but we've been very specific, and it's not the most important thing is on this, it's not just my office, our economic development director, it's a team that's doing this. The city of Dickson, White Bluff, Charlotte, Burns, Sladen, Van Leer, the Chamber of Commerce, the Industrial Development Board. There are so many people pulling the rope very hard, but the beauty of why things work in Dickson County, everybody is pulling the rope hard, but they're all pulling in the same direction now. So it's not magical, anything we've done. It's just trying to get everybody coordinated and going the right way. You're always going to have personalities and different views and different desires, but we have to find those goals that we believe in. And I think that's why Dickson County is successful. One of the things that's come out just recently, we're I think the 28th largest county in the state now, but we had the 16th highest median income in the state of Tennessee. So that goes back to the quality of jobs, the people that we're seeking to come to the community. They're bringing a better standard of living. And because of that, that's why we see the growth, because especially in retail growth, they chase numbers and traffic. And so along with a base that has the financial means to buy and use their products. So there's not just one magic portion of this. This is like that big puzzle box you pour out, and there's a lot of pieces that make it work. And we're very proud of how well it's working in Dickson County.
Let's talk just a little bit about your platform and the issues that you are most interested in. There's a lot of different things. One of the biggest things that I hear is growth. Justin, we don't want too many people in our backyard, but at the same time we want a Chick-fil-A and a Publix.
Right.
And I try to explain to people, you can't have it both ways. If you in order to get those things, we're going to have some growth. And schools is a big thing. Where should we build the next school? That's been a big topic. And there's all kinds of different political issues, but maybe, and I'll let you pick, which way you want to go with this. But what's a political issue that that is really important to you? And I know you've been in this office for a while, but you're running again. Hopefully, you'll get another four years. I'm sure that's what you're thinking, and you probably got some plans in those 4 years of some things you might do. So maybe kind of approach it from that angle as to what are some issues that I'm looking at, handling over the next 4 years? And also kind of looking back, what are you the most proud of your accomplishments and things over the past few years?
Well, those are all good. There's always things that are most important, but it depends on what's the issue of the day is you're having to deal with. But overall, growth and transportation management are the biggest deals. We've been working on this for quite some time. There is we have a program going on that we're all working on jointly to put together a growth and transportation plan for the county. We've been delayed by about 2.5 years, but that's due to COVID. What we were doing requires public meetings and public input, and when we were ready to launch in about December of 19, and I think we all know what happened about February of 20, and it kind of delayed us. But we're into that full speed. There's been 4 public meetings so far. I was able to attend 3 of those and go to each, but I'm there just to observe because we need these plans to be a plan of the public. It doesn't need to be a government plan. It needs to be a plan of the people, and where the people of this community want their county and their cities to be 5, 10, 15, 30 years from now. What do you want Dickson County to be? It could be long after county commissioners and county mayors come and go. We need a longer term vision. That's what we're trying to put together. So that's going forward now. They've gotten all the data, the company that we've all jointly hired to do this. We're hoping to have a report here in a few weeks, and then probably take another run at some more community meetings, because we need the community and the input of the people to get this done. So that is the most important thing that we have right in front of us now, because if we don't get out in front of this growth and transportation issue, it's going to bury us. And you pick a town, I think it used to be Spring Hill, try to drive down that 2-lane road at 4:30 in the afternoon. We don't need to get buried by it. We need to get out in front of it, and here's our really best chance to do that. The other things that we worked on, and we're really achieved, it never goes away, but I think the most important thing any government does is the safety of its citizens. So when we were elected back in 2010, we took a really hard look at our public safety issues, and we had just built a new jail, but we took a look at just starting off with the vehicles that the deputies were using, the equipment they had, the pay of our deputies, and we kind of worked through that. We're on our deputy pay is really good now. It compares favorably to the city of Dickson and other counties around us on pay, but we got a program down to where we purchase cars every year. We don't kick the can down the road, because cars are being used every day, so you can't just wait. You've got to keep that turned over. So we did that. Then immediately after that, we went to the ambulance service, did the same thing, worked through those problems. We buy an ambulance every year, actually buy 1 1/3 ambulances every year. That's what we need to keep pace, because they're on the road all the time. And we had emergency equipment that was responding with over 200,000 miles on it at full speed. That's not safe for the drivers, the patients, or the citizens. So we resolved that issue. Then we moved into our emergency management issue with having firefighters available during daylight hours and volunteers weren't. And then most recently, we've purchased $2 million worth of fire trucks to give to the volunteer fire departments to use. So that's an issue that it's an ongoing issue, but we're really ahead of that one finally. And the last thing is schools. Even though the county's grown a lot, school population's really been flat for 15 plus years. But the competitive nature, having all the things that students need to succeed and teachers need to be well paid, that's something we're going to have to get into. State government's done a lot on that, but Dickson County, we're going to have to continue to do what we've done. Even with the state's held funding, we've increased funding every year out of the county coffers to give to schools, and we're going to continue to do that. And we're going to find better ways to do that over the next 4 years.
I remember when I was growing up, somebody would always say to me, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. I think I got it right there. So it's really important to come up with plans, and I really appreciate the growth plans that I had the chance to go to one, but I wanted to go to all of them. And that they were really, I thought it was really unique that, what you guys were doing as far as, kind of linking up with all the different municipalities, the county overall, everybody kind of getting on the same page. Like you said, we're all kind of working in the same direction now. And that seemed to be something really smart. And I was just kind of wondering how that was going, how the feedback from the public was going, because like I thought it was interesting. I was looking at some of the growth plans, and I live in an area that's kind of between Burns and Dickson. I have a Burns address, but it looked to me like the growth plan I might end up being part of Dickson. And so I was just really curious as to all of that and learning the process of how you have to plan that in advance and all that thing. So just maybe just for a second, how has that been going, and how has the public been reacting to that? Has that been going pretty good so far?
Yeah, it really has. And we've got the people that have shown up, has been good participation, good comments. And again, I try to stand back on that because I don't want to appear that I'm trying to lead this. It's quite to the contrary. I want to get the information to see where the community wants us to go. But I have interacted with a lot of people there and had some really good comments. And one main thing people are appreciative we're taking the time to do it. Mm-hmm. We would like to get more participation. And that's why I hope after we get this data that's been accumulated and throw it back out there, that where people that may have not thought they had a chance to come, we're going to find time for them to come, because we want to do it, we want to be timely about it. The goal is to have this done by the end of this calendar year. But if we need to slow it down to get more input, I'd rather do that. I'd rather take longer and with more information gathered than just trying to get it done with an arbitrary time frame. But we had to draw a line somewhere, because you want to get the plan put together and get it out there. But a lot of this, and I don't want to get all too deep in the weeds, but there's a law called Public Chapter 1101, and it requires you to have a growth plan, which the initial growth plan was put in place back in the year 2000. There was a modification, I think, made in 2006, but it's basically a 20-year growth plan that expired in 2020, which was back to why the timing on us doing this growth and transportation plan. Now that we're past that, it's becoming more that we need to get this redone, because it shows growth areas, and growth areas show where cities can annex and where they want to grow. All the municipalities in the county have to agree on this. So you can tell from the map from 2000, it was a good bit of politics in that one, but we want to be more practical when we come forward this time. And I think that's how most of the leadership in most of the different cities feel.
Absolutely, and I've heard nothing but positive things about it. People are just excited that we're making the plans, and I've heard a lot of good conversations taking place about, why this, why that. And again, it kind of goes back to, like I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, the whole goal of this show is just to inform the voters about things, and to get that information out to the public. And I really appreciate what y'all are doing. And like I said, I think it's been a real positive thing throughout the community. I know the school system is doing something similar as far as hiring a group to come in and kind of give them some information so that they can make some good plans in the future. And I think that's really smart, and really glad that we're doing those sort of things. I guess my next question, I've kind of gotten to the end of most of my specific questions, but is there anything else that maybe we haven't talked about? We've been going for about 36 minutes here, and we've hit a lot of different areas, but is there anything else that you want the voters of Dickson County to know about you, or anything that we've left out that you want to make sure that you mention today?
No, it's always hard to talk about yourself. I mean, it's just a little odd because, back to what we talked about, I was raised in team sports, and again, I have people campaigning, and who people do mail, you need to say more, but the most important thing I want people to know, and I think most people know, is I'm truly committed to this, and I'm very passionate about it. I take what we do very seriously. I don't take myself seriously, but I take my job extraordinarily seriously to try to do things to help make this county better. Along with the county commission, we've gone a lot of those strides. We've gone through a building program, trying to improve our buildings, and not just for today, but for 20 and 30 years from now. We have the finances in really good shape, even with the pressures we're feeling with inflation right now, that we treat our finances as one would probably treat their home finances. Don't spend more than you make. Have money set aside for a rainy day. plan for when that next issue comes up, because I think one of the things that's out there now, we have $32.5 million available next fiscal year to help schools build buildings, and that money, to borrow money to do the building improvements, will not require a tax increase. We've done a really good job at planning and trying to look over the horizon. We have a debt service plan out to the year 2044. And it's like you said, it's good to plan. It's important to plan, but we know that may change. And but if you don't have something written down, a goal where you're headed, that could lead to real issues. So having a vision that we've been given by the citizens to make things happen, but taking our experiences from our jobs and other things to do to carry those wishes out. I think we've done a pretty good job at that, and I'm very pleased with it. And I hope this to give me an opportunity to do it for 4 more years.
Well, again, I appreciate you coming on the show today, and there's probably somebody out there listening who's thinking, Justin, you should ask this question, or you should ask that question. Is there a way that folks can get a hold of you to ask you any follow-up questions, maybe like Facebook or email or phone number? People have different ways of being contacted, but if somebody wanted to follow up with you, how could they do that?
Sure. The easiest way is phone number 615-789-7000. It's easy to remember. That's the number to my office. Feel free to call there. My email is Bob Rial, my name, BOBRIAL, at DicksonCountyTN.gov. Those emails come directly to me. Nobody else is reading those except me. And periodically I get on Facebook. Usually it's to wish you happy birthday, but if you can't find me anywhere else, I'll check on there, because I like wishing happy birthdays, and I like looking at baby and vacation pictures. I'm that guy. So feel free to contact me. I love hearing from everybody, and I'm in the communities all over the county at least one day a week, for no other reason to eat lunch and just talk to people to see what's going on. So feel free to holler at me if you see me out. I'm the tall, good-looking guy.
So a lot of fun things happening in Dickson County. And we're right here down to the election, and unfortunately, I think by the time this airs, early voting will be over. So last chance to vote in this election will be next week on Election Day. And, between now and then, you may run into some folks. I know this weekend we had the Burns Barbecue Bash, and run into a lot of people out there. But if you were to run into somebody maybe out here at one of these festivals, or maybe just out here on Main Street, or maybe run into them at a restaurant like I've seen you a couple times lately, and maybe just had a few minutes to talk to you and say, hey, Bob, I heard you're running again for county mayor, and, why should I vote for you? And if you only had like maybe a 60-second elevator pitch, or only 60 seconds to give an elevator pitch, what would you say to somebody if you only had like a condensed couple seconds?
Well, the most important thing is, I was asked at a political party meeting 12 years ago where they were trying to decide who was which party, even though we don't run that way. And my answer to that question was, I said, I've been a banker for 27 years, and they never asked if I was a Democrat banker, Republican banker. They wanted to know if I'd take care of their money. And that was my answer. Yes, I can do that. Well, that's my answer to the citizens of Dickson County. We can manage your finance professionally and seriously. And that's what I committed to 12 years ago, and I commit to that for this remaining 4 years. We continue to want to work to carry out the vision of our citizens to make this county the best place it can possibly be. And that's what we've done for the last 12 years, and we intend to continue to do that for another 4. And I'd appreciate everybody's vote.
Well, thank you so much. I can't thank you enough for doing this podcast, and to everybody who is running for office who has done the show with me, I appreciate you more than you ever know, because it's really been a lot of fun, and I think it's really been helpful to the voters, and it's been a good thing for our community. And I got a message last night from one of the people running who said, I really think your show has been helpful to the community, and I hope you decide to do it again in the future. So as long as you guys will listen, I'll keep, doing these interviews. So again, I really appreciate you. And it's guys like you being willing to do this that, make it happen. And so I definitely appreciate it. So on the way out here, if you don't mind, let's tell everybody again your name, the office you're running for, and tell them when Election Day is, because it's coming up and it's their last chance now.
It is. My name's Bob Rial. I'm running for Dickson County Mayor. Election Day is Thursday, August 4th from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. at all polling places across the county. If you're not sure where yours is, contact the Dickson County Election Commission, or you can call me at 615-789-7000, and we'll help direct you to what what your accurate polling place is, either myself or my staff can help you with that.
So I run into Mr. Dale Reagan every Saturday morning when I do my radio program, and the last time I saw him, he was telling me that there's going to be a fun event taking place downtown on election night, and he said they're going to have this board up where they're going to get phone calls from the election people, and they're going to put the stuff up. I think he said they were going to block off Main Street, if I heard him correctly. It was just in passing, so I didn't take notes or anything. But I think he said they were going to block that off, and it sounded like it was going to be a big fun time down there. So I'm excited about that. That should be a lot of fun for the citizens.
It will be. They used to do that years and years. And I know the last time that I certainly recall they did it in 2010. When I was elected then, and it's a great community event, and so many good things happen downtown. It's turned such a great destination, and Thursday nights I think is big because all the restaurants are open. They're having trivia night down the street. So here's just something else to give you a reason to come downtown Dickson on this coming Thursday night, August 4th. So look forward to seeing everyone down there.
I know some people have like an official place where they're like meeting up. Do you have anything like that going on?
No, when you run the first time, everybody's excited. You're the flavor of the month. But when you get to be an old candidate, everybody's still excited you win. But it's the new candidates that get all the party and the good times. So we're just going to walk around and just enjoy the festivities, everyone else.
Well, I'm sure I'll see you because I've already made plans to be down there on Thursday night. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So as soon as I can get out of school and go run and do a couple of things, I'm going to head down there. And there's so many, like you said, there's so many places to eat and drink and just to have a good time, and all these different stores that we didn't have 20 years ago. It's really, Main Street has really turned into something special that very few communities have. And so I think it's going to be a great night. I'm looking forward to it, and I hope to see you. I hope to see everybody else, and just have a great time.
Justin, thanks.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and close out the podcast now. I want to thank everybody for being on the show. I want to thank everybody for listening. Appreciate all of your support. Dickson County, don't forget to go out and vote. It is so important. Please go out and vote. And thank you all for listening. Everybody have a great day.